Welcome to another episode of the House Huddle Podcast. Here are your hosts, Rob Schwartz and Justin Onayemi, two Bears fans who decided talking into a microphone was better than shouting at their television.
Welcome in to episode 64 of the House Huddle Podcast.
Huddle up!
We're off to a good start. Maybe it's because of the win.
I think so.
As always, I'm Rob Schwartz, the Bear Goggles On. My co-host and good buddy, Justin Onayemi.
Good to see you, Rob,
Yeah.
especially after a win.
It's always good after a win. We'll get to it, but the Tankathon, we got to take a look at that and see now where Chicago might land, or maybe we'll talk about it later, but maybe it's okay not to tank.
I got tons of thoughts about it. Like, I didn't have any graphics or anything, but I feel like I could do this just in without like data, but just strong feelings about the way we need to take in the rest of the season. But we could just have it as an organic back and forth conversation.
Okay.
Rob and I, we did not talk to each other very much.
No
we
notes.
like the show to be very organic and authentic.
Yes.
But I'm spoiling a little bit here. Prior to the game, days before, we came up with like a plan for the episode, and it was like talk about the game for 5 minutes, and then it was all this like, you're the GM, are you trading this guy, or what are we going to do with these picks? And I think, like you said, let's tap the brakes on that. Maybe we could mention a few things organically about trade deadline.
Yeah.
But I don't know. In the last few years, people have made it seem like the trade deadline of football is like any other sport. For years and years and years, there were never really midseason trades.
Right.
And so it's perfectly fine to just stand pat and play out your season. And I kind of think that might be where the Bears are going. I mean, the names you keep seeing are like Jalen Johnson, which we're going to talk about him.
Yep.
I've seen Mooney's name out there, but I don't know. What are you going to get versus why give up on him?
Yeah. I mean, those are...
Eddie Jackson's hurt. And then obviously Justin Fields is the huge name, but that's a whole nother conversation that needs to be had. But
right. Cody Whitehair, but who wants him?
Exactly. I mean, do you need like good balls to practice with? And like a team's going to send you just high quality practice. Well, I'll take it. These don't look like they've been snapped over anyone's head. So, but anyway, week 7, I believe. Week 7, yes. Bears at home against Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
Another team that they're just meh. You know, a lot of teams in the NFL are just this.
I still picked them to win. I didn't think Chicago would win, but I mean, they were 2 and 3 coming in. So
I was almost going to do this just and just come up with like the number. And I started to, but didn't really finish it. But I was just going to pick a number, and it was going to be pretty low whole number, nothing with decimals or anything, and just have you guess what it was going to be. But I was going to look up home wins over the last 4 seasons or something like that. Because we know the Bears hadn't even won a game in almost a calendar year.
Right.
But the road win in Washington, road win the year prior was their final win in New England. Yep. So, I mean, it had been a long time since the home fans had seen a Bears victory.
I want to say it was.
they won opening game last year.
I want to say it was a 49ers game.
And then Houston.
Was it
Houston was home, I think.
Okay.
So they won 2 home games last year.
Yeah.
This is the first this season. But it's not great as you go back.
But it's also their 4th game already this year. So 3 sets of fans were very disappointed.
True. And it's with the unbalanced schedule. This is the year they're only going to have 8 home, 9 away.
Yes.
But it is what it is. So.
It is. But a win is a win.
Yeah. You want to get into how do you want to do this? We're so unfamiliar with how to follow up a win.
It was also because, like you said, we weren't planning on this podcast. We were planning on like this game not being worthy of talking about, and we were just going to kind of do something a little bit different. And now I'm prepared, but not as prepared.
So we didn't talk about this one aspect, and you watched the game delayed, which makes it even less of us communicating.
I mean, let's just throw it out. So hopefully people are still listening, because I know sometimes people drop off after like 10 minutes, but we got a quarterback controversy in Chicago, right?
Right. See, that's exactly what I was just about to say is, why do people have to act like this is a referendum on the number one quarterback, as opposed to being like, Bagent looks solid.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to have a young, solid looking quarterback that you feel confident in as your backup.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we don't know if Fields is coming back next week or in 2 weeks or when that might be, we don't know if when he comes back, he might get injured again, or, and this is like the big, or I don't want to talk about, but maybe he comes back and just doesn't look good. And eventually towards the end of this year, you say, hey, let's see what Bagent has.
Yeah.
But for now, having a good solid backup who's young and has a nice contract, that's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
Undrafted free agent. I mean, I think a lot of people just like the whole story. Like,
of course,
this guy wasn't supposed to amount to anything, goes to the Senior Bowl, offensive coordinator falls in love with him, gets a chance, works his way up past fourth string, works his way up past past third string, becomes the backup, and his very first game he gets a win.
Yeah. Well, I do have a problem with one aspect of the way people talk about it is they say he's a Division II quarterback.
Yeah.
He's not a Division II quarterback. He's the Division II quarterback.
That's right.
He shattered records that are all college levels.
Correct.
For touchdowns and passing yards and everything. So
159, I think.
To the point where I don't think if you just took any random Division I quarterback and just put them at Shepherd, that they would necessarily do what he did.
Right.
So, he's composed. I thought the game plan was excellent. Execution was excellent. Whether you look at the line, I mean, Darnell Wright messed up a couple times, but his assignment was not an easy one against Crosby, and he held his own.
I only had one particular play that I actually said he looked bad on, and it was an attempted screen pass that just basically went nowhere.
But they were exerting their will in the run game, which opens up so much other things. Yeah. And Bagent is quick and decisive in his throws.
Yeah.
They didn't challenge him to do too much, I didn't feel.
No.
And he executed it well.
No, he had 29 passing attempts, which is a decent amount.
Mm-hmm.
But, I say that we have a quarterback controversy in Chicago. If you think we do, hit the like button. If you think we don't, hit the like button anyway. I don't think to me, there shouldn't be, at least not after this game. I saw a team, like you said, we don't really talk, but we do sometimes text during the game, like when things happen. But because I was watching on such a delay, we really couldn't do that today. But I think I came back and said something along the lines of what I'm seeing are almost every passing play was at least 6, almost max protection. A lot of times it was 7. Cole Kmet, I can't even recall him running routes today because he was blocking pretty much the whole entire game.
Tunyon ran a route, but before he did, gave a major chip to the right end that took the guy off his balance. This is what you do. You don't start empty and just let a team blitz and blindside your quarterback.
So
if you do that to Bagent, he's not going to be successful. If you do that to Fields, he's not going to be successful.
Right. And look, Tyson Bagent has a quicker release. He does. I think what it is he's okay with those single read options. Most of his throws were on the first read or a check down. Or if he escaped, which happened a couple times, I got to give him credit.
Good
His
mobility
pocket presence was
and
there.
presence.
Yeah, he was moving with the pocket well as it collapsed in certain cases. But he just, I don't know. I think he completed 2 passes over 10 yards today. It just bothers me that this is the game plan. And I want the game plan for him to be this way, but I also want to see some of that for Justin Fields. There's not enough of the easy stuff. It's just always this.
And look at how many people they got involved.
Yeah.
Foreman had a great game.
Yeah.
But Evans had many impactful runs as well.
Tyler Scott.
Yeah, exactly. Tyler Scott on whether it was on sweeps, reverses, routes he was running.
Right.
Mooney was getting the ball. So you get all these guys involved. I will say the tight ends weren't that much involved. Mercedes Lewis had a catch, but they were blocking. Exactly. They were
or getting pre-snap penalties if you're Cole Kmet.
The whole team was involved in the success that the offense was seeing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, and I don't know if it's all on Getsy or if it's somewhat on Fields, but other times the plan just doesn't look cohesive. It doesn't look fluid. And even a game like Washington, you win, but it was the DJ Moore show.
Right.
And this looked complete. And I know we'll talk about it further in the show, but I want to say it right now. This is the third straight game the defense has really come and played.
Yeah.
That one touchdown drive by the Raiders was just slop garbage time. I mean, I almost wanted to like stop and do all the stats before that.
Yeah.
Because they got a whole bunch more yardage. I mean, basically you could look at it as the Aiden O'Connell drive. I mean, he had two. One, I think, ended on his first play or second.
Yeah.
And then he had the drive that didn't matter too much other than it ruined some of the overall stats. But last week against Minnesota, in a loss, some of those points came on that fumble by Bagent. You held the team under 20 even with that.
Yeah.
And then 1 week prior to that was Washington. So it's good to see that maybe with Eberflus calling the plays and the defense getting some health back, guys like Jalen Johnson, we'll talk about him. Kyler Gordon made some flashes, but I think hopefully his production was just in, holding guys down, because I didn't see him on the ball too often.
Correct.
But that's good. maybe his guy's not even getting looks. Still miss Eddie Jackson. But with health coming, I want to give them so much credit. But the one area I really still am like, pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
I
was waiting to see where you went with it, because I think I can recall one, maybe two that came from the defensive line, and the
Justin
rest was
Jones had a sack.
Right.
Ngakwe on a stunt right up the middle had a good
pressure. Yep. I remember that one as well. And then, I mean, there was a couple times, but it was more on run plays that I saw Zach Pickens and Jerron Dexter getting.
I saw
through.
Pickens on a pass get in a little bit of pressure too.
But the rest came from blitzes.
But it's okay to blitz.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like a lot of teams do it.
Yeah.
You gotta throw off the guy's clock. And
yeah. So I mean, total team effort, all around. Yeah. And while we're saying total team effort, there was a time not long ago where I did not want to see Santos attempt anything beyond 50. He's nailing these things, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have quite the leg that you see other guys get, but super accurate.
Someone might
dependable.
Want to check him for some PEDs.
Are you breaking news here?
I mean,
like I said, his 54 still only made it
36.
Would have been good from 59, but some of these kickers
look like they're kicking 70 yards.
Yeah, it's insane. So I just was very impressed with the Bears, top to bottom. Whether you look at coaching, I mean, there were a few weird, dumb penalties. But good teams overcome those. And I'm not ready to call them a good team, but I'm ready to put them in the meh with everyone else. So can I speak to the bigger picture a little bit then? Sure. Or you still want to talk about details of the game?
So for me, I need to keep calling out the Tyson Bagent is the starting quarterback of this team, people out there. First of all, Matt Eberflus in his press conference said that Justin Fields is going to be the starting quarterback when he's healthy. Anyone who thinks that this was like a great performance, I want you to realize he had 162 yards passing and 1 touchdown. If that were Justin Fields,
they'd be trashing it.
Exactly. So can we understand he did what he was supposed to do? I tweeted this out during the week. I said both of these things can be true. Tyson Bagent can look more prepared, better, whatever you want to call it, in Luke Getsy's system, more efficient in Luke Getsy's system. He had 74% completion percentage today. But that doesn't make him a better quarterback than Justin Fields.
Ask the defense that you're playing who they'd rather prepare for.
Right. Right. Exactly. But I think Bagent did a good job.
He did.
I would say less than what Brock Purdy does in San Francisco, but on a somewhat similar basis. It's a lot of moving in the pocket, the dink and the dunk, and rely on your running game. They ran the ball 38 times.
He's not throwing it to Debo Samuel,
Yeah.
Ayuk,
No.
Kittle,
No.
McCaffrey.
Right.
So, hey, I mean, I think just great performance, including what Bagent did.
He proved he is at least a backup quarterback in this league with developmental upside. That's what he did. He didn't do a bad job. He's good. I'm not trying to bash the guy. I don't like we won the game. We scored 30 points, which really you didn't, because 7 of that came from the defense. But it's like, this isn't the 4 touchdown, 300 plus yard performance that we saw from Fields, and then the other 4 touchdown, 280 some yards performance we saw. It's not that.
Well, put it this way: the Bears GM and the Bears front office as a whole, their question coming into the season is still the question they must answer the rest of this season, which is Justin Fields the quarterback that we're investing in for the future?
Right.
This performance doesn't change that question or that answer at all.
No.
And, it's good to have a number 2. You're always going to need a number 2.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be a number 2.
Yeah.
And some number 2s develop into number 1s. But this is not when that's supposed to happen.
Right.
There's still time for that to happen moving forward in Bagent's career. And we don't know injury status of Fields. No. I've heard some people speculate, partly because they did not place him on IR, that he could be back by next week. What really scares me about the whole thing is just it's your throwing hand, and it's about gripping the ball.
Yep.
Which obviously you need to do for throwing, but when you're a guy like Fields who either likes to run, has to run, or takes hits, not having a strong grip could lead to a costly fumble, as we even saw with Bagent when he did come in for Fields.
Right. Or it could be him hesitating to throw because he's afraid he's not going to be able to put as much zip on it, or he's not going to be able to.
In which case, Bagent showed enough this week that if Fields is feeling iffy going into next week's game,
correct,
you should play Bagent.
Correct. But I do think that there is a good chance we see him back before that 4-week mark. Otherwise, you probably would put him on IR. But then at the same time, like, they really need a depth spot, like where they have to feel uncomfortable having 3 quarterbacks on the active roster.
Can I ask a very strange question? I don't even know if you caught it, but Peterman played today, right?
Yeah, I did. I caught it.
Twice.
I always saw it on the one.
What did you see?
The Hail Mary.
Yeah, he came in on the kneel down too.
Oh, did he?
What the hell? Like, first of all, you didn't think Bagent could handle a kneel down? And it's like his game,
right.
He led the team to a victory. It's called victory formation. You put Peterman out there to take the knee?
I mean, I can understand if you're putting out your backup quarterback and they played like a series or 2 and you just leave them in, right? You're not going to march the starter back out.
Right.
But to bring him in just for...
I don't know. And it's like...
Were they just like, all right, we gave you the last play at the half. Let's give you another, like the last play.
And that was one of the worst Hail Marys I've ever seen execute.
But that
drive, that drive was like back to loser mentality.
Yeah.
Let me look at my notes for that to see what specifics. Let's see. That would have been. So they had 1:47 left in the half, all 3 timeouts.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote here, I want to see what Bagent looks like in the 2-minute drill. And Getsy.
Yeah.
That's what I put before the drive. So Bayless tries to bring it out. I don't have a problem with that, because if you can break one, that's good. Start at your 50, or your 40, or start at the 50. He only made it to the 21, but it only chewed up 4 seconds. So 1st and 10, 1:43, all 3 timeouts. Bagent escapes pocket, maintains composure, and completes to Scott for 6 yards, who gets out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
So that shows, like, okay, getting out of bounds, saved ourselves a timeout. 2nd and 4, DJ Moore, impressive catch for a first down. But he did not get out of bounds. And I put 1st and 10, huddling up. What do you think you're on the Hallis huddle or something? Why do you have to huddle up there? They took their time.
Yeah.
All sorts of, just wasted their time.
Yep.
Completion of Mooney gets out of bounds. So 2nd and 3, I didn't write down the time, but they squandered a whole bunch of it. Evans with a very strong run to the left. There was a flag.
Yep.
Borum. Now this particular one I thought was like a weak one. One of Borum's, I was like, dude, you held and it was obvious.
Right.
The other, I was like, that was kind of weak. So I think that might have been the second one. So now, 2nd and 13, 53 seconds. Mooney with a quick catch. Still no timeout.
Mm-hmm.
3rd and 7. I could see you maybe at this point not wanting to call timeout because you're not sure if you're going to now lose the ball. But Moore gets a completion on a rollout. But now
it was a great on-the-run throw, too, by the way.
It was. That was a really nice one. But what were they doing?
Playing to just go into the half with the lead.
And they were up 14-3 at the time.
Right.
But imagine if you, punch them in the throat and go up 21-3.
Exactly.
That's a team that, is a winning team, always looks for those opportunities. And the Bears were like, hopefully we don't make a mistake.
Right.
They played a very clean game overall.
So the one thing I wrote down, and people are going to think that I'm like this Tyson Bagent basher now, but the thing that I wrote down was at the end of the half, I was recording his stats through the first quarter. So the first quarter, he was 5 of 6 for only 24 yards. After the second quarter, going into halftime, he was 14 of 19. Again, really good completion percentage for 104 yards. Although I think 16 of those came on a pass that was behind the line of scrimmage on a screen. But when Nathan Peterman came in to throw the Hail Mary, and I'm joking, guys, I'm joking. My first thought was, this is them padding
didn't want his
Tyson Bagent stats because they didn't want either the incompletion or there's a high chance for an interception that means nothing. Right. So they just wanted that box score to look good.
I just looking at the two players, I can't imagine that Peterman has a stronger arm than Bagent.
No.
And he hadn't warmed up.
I mean, I know maybe he throws it too high. Like, velocity is a part of it too, but Nathan Peterman was never a guy who was like, oh yeah, he's got a huge arm, but just bad accuracy. He was just a guy.
A guy who's used to throwing interceptions. So to your point, he's like, hey, if you need an interception, I'm your guy.
That's right.
So I don't know. That was pretty rough. But to have a whole game go by, and that's like really the only thing I could really pick apart.
No, it was.
Had the game turned out differently, because the Raiders got the ball first in the second half. So you squander that opportunity to put up any kind of points. Yep. Had they marched down the field and punched in 7, maybe we are looking at a whole different game. And we would have said, hey, the turning point was when you squandered the 2-minute drill at the end of the half.
Right.
But defense came to play.
Can Matt Eberflus just focus on being defensive coordinator and they just hire a CEO? I don't know.
So basically, you want him to just be the defensive coordinator?
Yeah. Yeah. Can he take a demotion?
We'll see how creative they get.
Bring in Jim Harbaugh.
So you're kind of talking big picture stuff. We need to take a break at some point, but here are some things I still want to talk about.
Okay.
Specifically Jalen Johnson.
Okay.
And big picture, how we should view the rest of the season.
Okay.
Do you want to do any of those before a break or do all of that after the break?
No, it sounds like a good time to take a little break. And
did we say whose episode this was? I don't think so.
I don't think we did.
We broke the streak last week, and now we're back to our old bad habits. So on the other side of this break, you'll find out who we're going to dedicate episode 64 to.
All right. Enjoy these ads.
All right, and we are back. So as we forgot to mention earlier, this is episode 64.
I failed.
I think this guy needs a dedication, so we're going to give this to Nate Davis.
Congratulations,
a new
Nate.
Bear, and a Bear we hope is a strong performer this season and hopefully years to come. Any honorable mentions, Rob, for number 64?
Yeah, just a guy that I remember when I was first becoming a Bears fan in the 90s was Andy Heck. And then, we can't forget Alex Bars.
Nice.
Right? Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know if he was a guard or a tackle.
Yeah.
Turns out he was neither.
Turns out he's neither. But we seem to not know who's guard, who's tackle, who's center.
That's a theme.
Yeah, this is a theme
And
for this organization.
Can I just give us a challenge? Because you know how numbers work. So this is 64. That means next week's 65.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to be the Cody Whitehair episode. So I guess we'll have to.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think it can be. So
No.
I'm going to have to dig into the vault and see if I can think of another 65. None are coming immediately to mind, but.
Yeah, I know me either. It's going to end up being an offensive lineman somehow.
Oh yeah, we're in that territory right now. Although we could have given it to was it Mike Pennell?
Pennell, yeah.
He's a D lineman, wore 64. But we're sticking with Nate Davis. So before the break, I said two things I definitely wanted to get your viewpoint on and kind of maybe go back and forth on. One is Jalen Johnson. So his name keeps getting brought up as a possible trade candidate, and here's the reason. He's a young, good player. He's in the final year of his deal, and the Bears haven't necessarily shown a propensity to bring back guys that weren't Ryan Pace guys. Not to mention, in this draft, I do think, scooped up some pretty good defensive backs that are ball hawks and play the type of style they might like.
Tyreek Stevenson had a good game today.
Stevenson had a good game. Terrell Smith has been injured a lot, but in the limited time he's played, has looked good. But I feel
right now he's not injured. He's got mono.
So. Oh, that's right. That's right. But I feel, and not solely based on today's game, but it was nice to see him get not one, but 2 interceptions, which tripled his career total. Took one to the house, which made him get a nice solo celebration where he said, time to pay me.
Yeah, let's meet at the negotiation table.
Absolutely. But why not? Why wouldn't you want to lock this guy up?
Yeah, no, you do. And stop letting your good players go, right? Like at some point, like I get the trades at certain times. I get letting guys walk when they got to a certain age when they first got here in Chicago. But like eventually you have to retain those players.
He's 24. You still have, I think, the second most cap space projected going into next season. It's not a money issue.
Has never let up more than a 60% completion percentage when targeted.
And maybe today is an indication that turnovers, I mean, let's be honest. As a corner, sometimes turnovers are luck, a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
And what he's been known for over his time with the Bears is limiting even targets.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get an interception when they're not even throwing it to who you're covering.
This is the reason why Darrelle Revis called it Revis Island, because people stopped throwing his way.
Exactly. And if you do that, and a guy like Stevenson develops into that ball hawk type on the other side of you, you have a winning formula.
That's right.
But I don't see any reason to give up on a guy who's shown to be very solid, who's 24 years old at a premium position.
Yeah.
So I hope that he would not be a trade candidate. And beyond that, I don't know that there are very many candidates on this team. Mooney's name keeps coming up. That's a weird name to put out there because he's your number 2 receiver.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're not bringing him back next year and you can get something for him, that is at least, to me, it has to be at least a 4th rounder.
Okay. So part of it's what you get back, but who are you going to put into his spot?
You're going to see a lot more Tyler Scott.
And I have a problem with that. In the role he's in now, he's starting to come on.
Yeah.
But you can't just put him right up in the number 2 spot. Because let's be honest, this is not Madden. This is not us doing mock off seasons. These are real players, a real locker room that's going to look at you like, wait, every time a guy, yes, the draft matters. Yes, draft capital. We get all that. And they've positioned themselves nicely already. So you don't need to, at every trade deadline, bail out on the – hopefully there's going to be many seasons in the future where you're actually buyers because you're competitive.
Yeah.
But this idea that, like, it's sell, we got to sell. You're not going to – Mooney's a guy you could re-sign. He hasn't put up the kind of numbers that means he's going to go to the market and just, get a monster deal somewhere. You might be able to get him on a team-friendly deal anyway.
Yeah, I mean –
or move on from him.
If Eddie Jackson had remained healthy – he'd probably be the hot name, right? Because not only is he getting to the end of his deal, right? He's also already, what is he, 30? 31?
30 or 31.
Yeah, so
your next window.
It's not the same as a 24-year-old, in my opinion, lockdown corner.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes against the best in the league yes, he's going to lose at times. Those guys get paid well too. I recall him giving up a touchdown to Mike Evans. It's Mike Evans. Like, he has 10 plus touchdowns every season. It's not the same situation. He's 24, and I say pay the guy. I mean, you're probably going to be looking at probably 16 to 18 million, to be honest. And I'm okay with it.
He's a number one corner.
I'm okay with it.
My son asked me today, he's like, where would you rank Jaylon Johnson? And I didn't like go name by name through the whole league, but I said top 15.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
there's
basically
32
saying,
teams.
Exactly. There's 32 teams. He's clearly the Bears number one,
right.
And he's solid with room to grow. Because if he starts getting 5 interceptions a year, pass breakups, these types of things, now what are you going to say about him? Because that's really been the biggest knock against him.
Well, even in his rookie season, at one point in the year, before he went down with his injury, I remember like he was the guy you saw on TV, the name all the time, because he was leading the league in pass breakups. I think he finished with like 13 that year and didn't even play a full year. I mean, it's sometimes interceptions, like you said, either they're not being targeted or sometimes they just don't come your way. Like it hits down on the ground. Like, I mean, the ball's thrown in weird ways.
Or you're Jaquan Brisker.
Yeah. What? That guy's got to work. Get him. Darnell Mooney, gift him your jugs machine, please. Please. I don't think he would have had a pick six. He had the momentum for a pick six, but I still think that lineman was going to kind of hit him hard enough where he wasn't going to be able to get around him.
We've seen multiple of those from him this season.
Yes.
Sorry to get us off.
Tremaine Edmonds has better hands with his
I said that's definitely interception today. That's
yes.
No doubt about that. No fumble recovery here.
We have him in fantasy.
He has been a stud for us.
He has been. He has.
So
I'm trying to think of other names. Like I said, Cody Whitehair.
Actually, okay, you mentioned Edmonds, and here's my thing. If you don't sign Jaylon Johnson, does that mean you're just like Stevenson's our number one, Terrell Smith's our number two? You're gonna go with 2 second-year players who've proven and not proven their ability to be that?
That's what they would have to do this year, right?
Oh, if you trade him. But I'm saying for the future.
Right.
You are still going to have to sign a corner in the free agent market.
Or
so now you're going to go take a lesser guy.
One pretty high.
Yeah, you could draft one, but now you're going three very young guys. Yeah. I mean, the other guys will be sophomores by then, but this guy's 24 with years of experience, and in those years has shown to be solid, and you've got the cap space. And this is an easy decision to me, and maybe you sign him now before he drives up the price any further.
And to be honest, I wouldn't have a problem with paying Darnell Mooney a reasonable amount either. Like, if you got him on a 2-3 year deal and it's, putting him in the middle of the pack when it comes to wide receiver pay, I'm fine with
Mooney is this year's Montgomery.
Okay.
For the right price, you keep him.
Exactly.
You don't overpay for him because you probably could get something similar.
Right.
Because, I know Montgomery's done some nice things in Detroit, but he's also dealing with some injuries. And you see what Foreman did today.
And we talked about it. Jamal Williams last year was a nothing going into that season. He came away with like 12, 13 touchdowns. Yeah. That's the David Montgomery role right now in Detroit.
Signed a bigger deal somewhere else.
Right. So. And has done nothing.
True. Very true. All right. So now, if we're done on that topic, I want to go big picture for a moment here. And so I'm going to say a few things and get your honest response. And if it's different, hey, that makes for good
television.
Good television, yes. Good podcast.
If you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening, either way, go to our YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, because I keep forgetting to say this. Hit the subscribe button. I know we got a little ways to go. Keep telling it to all your friends, your family, whatever. People walking through the grocery store, you see them wearing a Bears shirt, say, hey, have you heard of the House Huddle? Check it out.
This promotion started. It was a Justin Fields jersey. Now it's any jersey you want.
Jersey.
Bagent.
Yes.
Foreman, man. Yes. I'm telling you, when he ran one of those, I was like, that's beast mode. Was there an earthquake?
Yes.
I thought we had Marshawn Lynch on the team.
There was a few of those, I felt like.
Yeah, he had a few.
The legs were just like Mario.
I actually played him in one of my fantasy leagues.
I have Roshan.
He put up 30 points
Khalil,
or something like that.
But I don't have. You
didn't
Foreman.
handcuff your handcuff?
I did not.
Rookie mistake. Big picture. So going into this game, I don't even want to say these words.
Okay.
If the draft was today, or if the draft is not. It's 6 damn months from now. So we need to stop acting like it's tomorrow.
What are they, 2-5?
But they would have been number 1 and number 2. They own the rights. I don't have to remind too many people of this. They own the rights to Carolina's pick. Carolina was on their bye today. They finally didn't lose the game.
Right.
But they're 0-6. The Bears coming in today, 1-5, improved to 2-5. Is that a good record? No. You see all these, and I'm going to call them dumb graphics about, a 1-5 team has only made the playoffs 3 times. Okay. I have a few things to say right off the bat. One, they're going all the way back to 1990 with that stat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? There's 17 games now.
Yep.
There were 16 games then. So already that's kind of dumb in my mind. Second, I'm not even saying the barometer of their success is the playoffs. Because if they go on a bit of a run and were to win 7 games this year, 8, that's not playoffs, but that would be damn impressive.
That's the Detroit Lions.
Yes, and that's the arrows going in the right direction. And depending on how that looks, that could give you your answer on Fields, blah, blah, blah. But and by the way, let's say they finish with 7 wins. What pick would that be, do you think?
15.
Oh, really? I don't
7?
think so. I was going to say lower. Like still probably 11.
I honestly have no idea. You talk.
So,
and I'll find out.
All right. So here's my point. At this point, as Bears fans, you can root all you want for the Carolina Panthers to go 0-17 and the Bears to have the first pick in the draft. I'm fine with that. But we should not be rooting for the Bears to lose or to tank or anything like this. Now, the whole idea was this year, oh my gosh, there's this can't miss prospect, Caleb Williams. Oh, if you get number 1, you're going to get Caleb Williams. He's the next Patrick Mahomes. Well, I have a problem with that because Patrick Mahomes wasn't even the Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes wasn't even the first quarterback taken in his draft. Not to mention, Caleb Williams has started to have a few red flag type performances. I'm not saying he's not worthy of the number 1 pick. There are other quarterbacks even that are highly touted in this draft. We need to get away, step back, and realize like every draft isn't simply about the number 1 pick. There's a long list of number 1 picks that didn't amount to much.
Yeah, Ryan Leaf was a pretty famous one.
Exactly. There are a lot of number 1 picks that don't, hit, especially when you put the pressure of you need to be the guy that changes the trajectory of a failed franchise.
I mean, look at Ricky Williams. I mean, he even had a good career, but like he never really lived up to that.
But instead, look at it this way. The Bears own 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Both of those picks, in all likelihood, are going to be in the first half of the draft.
So 7-win teams last year were pick 8 through 13.
Okay. So, and I think the Bears, because of strength of schedule, would be on the
lower end of that.
Earlier pick.
Yeah.
So you could win 7 damn games and still be picking 8th or 9th. You guys remember last draft when number 9, they didn't take Jalen Carter?
Yeah.
A guy like Jalen Carter was sitting there at 9 last year. So can we slow the hell down and just be content with they have 2 first-round picks next year that are both going to be top 15. I don't see how either of the 2 is out of the top 15. What could you do with that?
Yeah.
You could fill some major needs. And let's not only look at quarterback because we don't know. We don't know. Justin Fields might be the answer still. Let's say Justin Fields isn't the answer. Just because Justin Fields isn't the answer doesn't mean it has to be Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
There are at least 3, maybe 4 prospects that are going to come out in this draft that are prospects that you would say, hey, this guy might be the answer. Or you could go with a veteran. Like there are other possibilities. And they still need edge rusher.
Yeah.
They could still use a left tackle.
Yeah.
They could still use a guy like Marvin Harrison. So we can't become so focused like, oh, how are the Bears going to get the number 1 pick? How are the Bears going to get the number 1 pick? Guess what, guys? Getting the number 1 pick typically is a very bad sign. It means you were crap. And this year, if you want the number 1 pick, hopefully it's because Carolina was crap, not because the Bears were. The Bears need to start showing progress like they did today. That was with Tyson Bagent at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They could do that again next week with Tyson Bagent. Or, hey, maybe they could do it with Justin Fields like they did both in the Denver game, the Washington game, and that was about it. Sorry.
I mean,
What do you got?
So I haven't like done a full draft prep. I usually don't start looking at draft prospects until December, but
Nor should we.
with how the season was starting, I started looking ahead of time. Plus, this is supposed to be one of those like historic type draft classes for quarterbacks. A lot of people consider Caleb Williams generational.
Can Drake Maye be?
He's not gotten that touting, right? But again,
I'm saying, can he?
Of course.
He's got the tools.
Anyone who's drafted, does have potential, right? I would say at least within the first 3 rounds.
They're comparing Drake Maye to like Justin Herbert.
Sure.
Justin Herbert's this might not be the best statement because people could just say, look at reality.
Right.
He's a quarterback you can win with.
Yeah.
But I don't know why the Chargers haven't.
They seem to choke whenever they play anyone, within the top 10, 15% of the league. They just can't seem to win those close games.
Well, it's still 53 men on a roster that have to win games.
Correct. I always say wins are not a quarterback stat. It's a team stat.
Absolutely.
Today was a team win.
It was.
Right? Like it wasn't a Tyson Bagent win. It wasn't a defensive win. It wasn't a D'Onta Foreman win. It was a team effort. Right. Tevin Jenkins, by the way, give that guy some props because
switched his position again.
And I watched him just maul people today. Just maul people. But it still confuses me that they ever thought him and Lucas Patrick needed to rotate. Like, just because of practice. That guy should be.
When it comes to that particular situation in Bears history, you become Allen Iverson. Practice. We talking about practice? So sorry, I cut you off a little bit, but where are you going with just the outlook and?
Yeah, so I haven't done a lot of draft rep, but like Caleb Williams is my 3rd prospect. There's 2 guys I would take ahead of Caleb Williams, and that's Olu Fashanu from
Michigan.
No, Penn State.
Oh, sorry, Penn State.
And Marvin Harrison Jr. Like I would take Olu and MHJ over Caleb Williams.
Now, when you say that,
I have to have a quarterback, and my assumption is Justin Fields was.
So wait. When you're saying that board, your board or whatever, is that as if I was any GM in the league or looking at it from a Bears view?
This is for me if I'm any GM in the league.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have Joe Alt 4, and I actually have Drake Maye 5. But I haven't looked at edge rushers, so I haven't. Things can change because it's fluid. I've only been looking at certain positions. Left tackle, I think, is a huge need here, and I've always been an MHJ fan. But there's other receivers in the draft that are also first-round worthy. If by chance, they went left tackle with that first whatever Carolina pick, and then you get, one of the other receivers in the mid round. Like I don't think that would be a horrible thing.
Right.
I don't want to give too much away on where my mind's at in specific draft content because that goes back to the episode we were planning for tonight.
No, we will certainly do an episode like that.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's now.
No, things changed today, right? Just
for the better.
There was a lot to talk about. And it is a good thing for Luke Getsy to prove, look, I adjusted my offense for my quarterback. I just want to see it now for Justin Fields here and there. Like, now he doesn't get the max protections that.
If you look at the all 22 of a Bears game that Fields operates, there are times where you can put it on Fields that maybe the call was this and he missed something or he didn't make an adjustment or he held on to the ball too long. There is some of that.
Yeah.
But I also feel, to your point, Getsy isn't always calling a flawless game. And flawless is not the bar. Everyone's going to have a hiccup here and there.
Right.
But today was near flawless in terms of the rhythm, in terms of the various looks they kept giving.
He was moving the pocket. He was using misdirection.
Yes.
He was running the ball and then using
many people
play
were involved.
action. And like some of the deeper routes that were thrown were off play action.
Right.
But again, they never
established the run first.
They didn't complete more than 2 passes past the 10-yard line. So it's just, this is his offense. And it could just be that him and Luke Getsy and Justin Fields just aren't a good pairing. Maybe Getsy's not willing to tailor maybe I'm saying it wrong. Maybe because this is his offense, like he doesn't get props for actually changing it for this quarterback. It's just, this is what I've been trying to run. This is what I'm going to do.
This guy runs it smoother.
He just runs it smoother.
Yeah.
Where Justin Fields has that downfield, I'm going to try to score a touchdown in every play mentality.
So I guess the reason Bears fans might be saying, oh, Tyson Bagent, he did run this smooth.
Yes.
And the defense comes to play.
Yes.
And the Bears historically have always been like, hey, let's just win it, running the ball, playing great defense. Doesn't matter who we have at quarterback.
Was Bears football.
That's been Bears football.
That's Kyle Orton out there.
Bears football has gotten one Super Bowl in a zillion years.
Yes.
Where you see the modern NFL has quarterbacks that can ball out and win you games.
Yeah.
Even though you just said it's a team stat. The quarterbacks that can ball out week after week after week, they tend to get a lot of those for their team.
For sure.
So, all right, but how are you feeling outlook-wise for the Bears?
If you want to say
the rest of this season,
for me, I think they get to 6 wins, 7 max.
But the word tank should be removed from our vocabulary.
Never should have been in their vocabulary.
There are so many teams that either are bad or have the potential to be bad.
Right.
So, I mean, Denver won today.
And so did New England.
But they're getting ready to tank, and so did New England.
So Chicago, Arizona lost. So Chicago now has the 3rd pick in the draft.
And first
because of Carolina. They were on bye. But yeah, so had Denver lost, then they would have been ahead of them. Then they would have been down to 4 already. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of other 2-win teams and a lot of other 3-win teams. It's not.
Which is why if you can start to put a couple wins together, and again, this is not me saying 1-5 to the playoffs,
right?
But 1-5 to you're in the mix of teams that can win in any particular week. I keep coming back to this. This league is supposed to be like a you could win games type of league.
Yeah.
And they weren't winning at all. So it was nice to see a team effort where they won. We should be cheering for more of that, and we should be seeing more of it.
Yeah.
And even if you win 6, even if you win 7, first of all, if the Bears win 6, I still don't think Carolina wins more than that.
No.
And 6 probably has you picking 6th
or
picking 7th, with Carolina picking 1st or 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah.
Are you going to be devastated this year going into next season if the Bears hold the number 3 and number 7 pick in any draft?
No.
That's a great place to be.
Yes, for sure. I was trying to see.
I mean, to your point, if you have the number 3 pick in this particular draft, it sounds like Caleb Williams goes 1, Drake Maye goes 2. So you get anyone you want from the non-quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's a nice place to be.
Yeah.
Especially, you pick 4 more picks after that.
And to me, there's 2 really good left tackles. So if as long as you're in the top 5 and you're getting one of those 2 left tackles,
right,
or MHJ,
yeah,
and
someone,
right.
If they move on from Jalen Johnson and want to take a corner, Kool-Aid McKinstry,
yeah,
just for his name,
just for his name.
That's not what I recommend, by the way.
I would just
say sign Jalen, and
first of all, I would be going by KA. That's just me. So KA McKinstry.
So unexpected
Kick
episode,
ass.
man. We did not know this is what we would be doing. I'm happy that this is what we're doing instead of what we had planned. But what we have planned it's
definitely
coming in the future. There's a time for a mock off season for a mock draft. Your point was it was before the trade deadline.
Correct.
But again, the trade deadline shouldn't be like what it is in baseball or what it is in, even the NBA. Like, it's a big thing where it's like, who's going to move? Right. This is the NFL. Like, you stick with your team. A guy going to come here, learn a whole new playbook, blah, blah, blah. Like, especially when you talk about a quarterback.
Chase Claypool did.
Did he? He still hasn't suited up for Miami yet, has he?
I don't think so. Maybe he's playing tonight. I don't know.
I'd rather be inactive in Miami than in Chicago.
Oh, well.
Let's see.
He's in Pennsylvania, right? So.
What does that mean? Oh.
Because they're playing the Eagles
good point. But I just mean in general.
And are they losing still?
No, it's tied.
Tie game.
Tied 17-17.
Don't forget, guys, this could turn into a Miami Dolphins podcast at any point. So
I'm going against Mustard, and he started horrible, but now he's gotten some yards.
Okay.
So we'll see. All right. Well, I was pleased by
I think that's it.
This episode.
I think it's so just to sum it up, like Jalen Johnson's earned his money, right? keep good players. As far as this game, I don't think it creates a quarterback controversy. Personally, as much as I love Justin Fields, I kind of wish he does miss next week just to see what they do against one other team when your running back isn't, gushing for 4 to 6 yards every 2-3 runs.
Well, so Bagent did what he did today with one of the best edge rushers in the league in Crosby.
Yeah.
Next week, you got to face two of the best.
Yeah.
Bosa and Mack.
Right.
That's different. Because I don't think Borum can hold his own against either of those guys.
No.
So, sorry. One more thing, though, with the Jalen Johnson. I said how the Bears haven't been signing, pace guys, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
A big part of why they didn't sign Roquan was dealing with his agent.
Yeah.
We remember who Roquan's agent is, right?
Yeah, Roquan Smith.
Himself. And in Baltimore, they were dealing with that with Lamar Jackson as well.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming Jalen Johnson has better representation, and you can work a deal.
Yeah,
you should. Sure. That should be the Bears' intent. From all things I've heard, that's his intent.
Yeah,
I think he likes it here. I think he wants to be the guy here in Chicago.
Keeps saying it on his segment on was ESPN or 670. I don't remember.
And I don't think he's on 670. I haven't heard him, but he's on there weekly.
Yeah.
But I don't even think you have to pay him. I mean, number one corner should be a high price position.
Yes.
But I don't think he's high price in the whole league.
No.
Sign him, guys.
Yeah. Here we are. It's a win.
They gave us something to now want to see next week.
That's right.
If this had been a gross loss, I don't know how I'd feel.
And they could easily go 2-2 over their next 4 games, with what that schedule looks like. And now you're looking at 4 wins. That's already one more than last year.
Wow. Is this what respectability looks like? Not quite. Still scratching and clawing for respectability, but the arrow is up.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad. Clearly, I didn't have any yelling or anything tonight. There's just no rants.
And I never like being a woulda, coulda, shoulda guy, but you shouldn't have lost to Denver.
No.
And you shouldn't have lost to Minnesota. But you did.
You did.
So, all right.
All right, that's it. Bear down.
Nice job, man. Bear down.